Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome to the Independent Creatives Podcast. Today I have my friend Michael with me. He's the writer behind Ronin of Okane. Is that how you pronounce it? Okane?
Okane, Okane.
Okane. What's going on, man? Can you give us a brief introduction?
Yeah, I'm doing good. So my name is Michael. I'm the director and the founder of Cybersheep Studio, and I do Ronin of Okane. It's a cyberpunk comic books with a mix of Japanese folklore. So there's gonna be like a cyberpunk stuff, weapons, futuristic stuff, and the high tech low life theme as well. And there's also gonna be like the monster from Japanese stories like kappa, tanukis, and samurai and stuff like that. So me and my team, we like these kind of things. So we combine this together and make into a comic books. And right now we are working on Kickstarter, and it's been like we have 8 days left until the Kickstarter ends. So if anyone is interested, you can check out the website and back our project. Hi,
Mhm.
Wesley.
Yeah, so I'm gonna
Yeah.
include I'm gonna include the links to your Kickstarter and to your website in the description below. So this is your fourth book, and you were nice enough to give me the first three books of yours. And for those who for those who don't know, I'm living in Thailand right now, and that's where me and you met. Is in
Yeah.
Bangkok. And yeah, man, you've done like so well with the stuff it is that you've done. I mean, this is your fourth or fifth Kickstarter, right? Like
The fifth one. The first one is like an animation that is a pain in the ass to get it done. So comic books is easier for anyone who wanna do this kind of stuff. Go for the comic books, man.
yeah, that's I remember you telling me that it was a huge pain in the ass to put together
Yeah,
an animation team. And wait,
kind of.
what was the issue with the animation? Was it just so
Um,
many people that it's like it's too much to handle?
that's one of them, and it's time consuming, and there's a lot of things that out of your control. For instance, if you draw a picture and you want shadow on like the right side of the face, you just do it like that. But if you do it as an animation, like especially the 3D animation, then if you shine the light one direction, it's gonna be like there's a lot of details that you don't want, or the detail like the bouncing and the stuff like that you have to work on. So
Mhm.
a little details that take times. So
Yeah, you can't. It one change like changes everything else, right? Like
mm-mm.
it's almost like a Rubik's cube. It's like
Yeah,
you
right.
change one thing and now you've just set
Exactly,
everything
exactly.
back. Yeah. Okay. So you wanted to do 3D animation at first, and that was your first Kickstarter, and then you decided that you wanted to do comics. Let me pull up the. Okay. So this is your main.
Oh
Okay.
man, I haven't checked my animation in a really really long time, so I want to see
Okay.
too.
Yeah, let's take a look at the animation one you did.
Mm.
I love the. Let's look at this trailer, and then we'll look at the trailers for your book too.
Yeah, sure. I can't see anything. It's in the
Yeah.
bio screen right
Oh,
now for me.
okay.
Oh
Is it sharing now?
yeah,
Okay.
it's on now. It's on now.
Okay. So this was the original. This was the original Kickstarter you did for the animation, right?
Yeah, that's right.
So this was. What programs did y'all use to make this? Like, was
It's called
this
Dream on PS4
okay?
and PS5. So it's
No
like
way.
a small engine in like a
You made
PlayStation.
you made this in Dream?
Yeah. Oh, you know Dream?
Yeah,
Yeah, I made this in Dream with 30 people.
with 30 people.
Yeah, nice, right?
Oh, dude, it looks awesome.
I haven't
Yeah,
seen this in a really long time. Yeah, it looks great now. Now that I look back at it, but during the time that I
yeah,
work on it, it's just like pain in the ass. I'm like, see a lot of flaw, this and that. Oh, I want to delete this. I want to remove that. I want to add this, add that. I didn't have time to actually, appreciate it.
Well, I'm curious if you were using the Dream game engine, like then did you have to whenever you say that like you have a specific thing it is that you like you said a shadow on the face and then you have to go and you have to change it and it changes everything else. I assumed that the Dream engine was basically like it was setting up like a space like back in the day Unreal people would do like the Unreal animations like the red versus blue, right?
Mhm.
And they would just basically you just have the characters and you just put them into the world and then you act out specific scenes, but that's not what's going on here. You like what exactly was the process here?
Um, I think it's different for traditional stuff when it comes to animation. Is that back then there's
Mm-hmm.
no what is it called, like in between, the in between
Yeah.
system. So if you animate something, you're gonna have to like animate from like start to the end without knowing the how's the pacing is gonna be, and you cannot just export it and arrange it later. I can't remember anymore, man. It's been like almost 4 years. Like,
You've blocked out a lot of the memory.
Yeah,
It
I
looks
think so. I think
it
so.
looks incredible, man. It
Oh
looks
man,
it looks really
wow, I look young.
yeah. You had 30 different people working on this.
Yeah,
Wow.
right. 30 people. Some are nice. Well, this is gonna be online, so everyone is nice.
So if we right, everybody's nice. So we fast forward. You said 4 years, and this is where we're at. So you're on your
Yeah.
fourth book, and like I said, I finished your first book, and
Hey,
and I
thanks.
enjoyed it. It's really fun. Like one of the things it is that I really enjoyed about what it is that I saw in your book was, and I think I told you about this last time we hung out, was I can tell that you do a lot of world building, but the way that you do the world building is like you don't explain like this complicated lore or give all this exposition. It's more just like something that the characters are just interacting with, and it reminds me of like old Japanese role playing games. I don't know if like role playing games were a big influence on you. I don't feel a big influence of like role playing games other than the sense of the world,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like it's just kind of everything is just kind of implied. Maybe you get into more of the background in the later books, but I thought that was really cool, man. I mean, like it's almost like you kind of have these snapshots of of characters that seem like they extend past just the simple role. So I guess this was the. Let me see if you can see this. So this was this character right here was in the animation, right?
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Okay. Okay. So why did you choose Japanese folklore over Thai? Like what specifically do you think drew you to that, or is it kind of like a mix of like Thai and Japanese, or
I think I grew up with anime and manga when I
yeah.
was a kid,
Hmm.
and I kind of like the tales that they have. Those
Yeah.
those kind of weird stories about each characters, and I feel like, hey, it would be fun to have those character in this kind of setting.
Hmm.
And there are some Thai elements too, like the religious stuff that kind of
Hmm.
related to Japanese as well, like the CMC box where you shake and there's like a wooden stick coming
Yeah.
out.
Hmm.
Yeah, I
Hmm.
add that into the book as well. So it's a mix of a lot of stuff, but mostly Japanese.
Yeah. Yeah. I think there's definitely something so particular about the folklore of Japan that has been expressed in anime that it does seem to ignite the imagination, right? I think a lot of people are drawn to Japan just because of the amount of their culture that they've kind of exported through animation and stuff like that, you know?
Yeah, sure. I like the
Yeah.
design though. They're cool. They're cool.
Yeah. Let's check out your trailer here for your latest
Okay.
one. So this is the book that's on Kickstarter now.
Okane, Chukan District. Vendors selling fantasy experiences. But some fantasies are actual memories.
Have you
Or
seen this one
worse,
yet?
forbidden ones.
I've seen the trailer for
A
it. Yeah.
samurai seeking not a different life, but the truth about his past. He is going to discover everything.
This is a model too. This one is
There is a
different.
district in Okane which is known for selling virtual reality experiences. One can lose themselves in these machines for as long as their money can afford. But sometimes it's more than just a new life. Some are seeking secrets known only by the dead. An unorthodox samurai, an unbeatable droid, an ancient cult, the king of Okane, and the girl with 1,000 pasts. With the information from his colleague and a souvenir from his enemy, our samurai finally finds the exact memory chip that will explain the truth behind his past. He is going to learn that some truths are better hidden.
That's
Do you
cool,
like
man.
the voice actor?
Yeah. I was about to say you even got yourself a voice actor. Is that
Yeah.
is that legitimately a voice actor, or is that AI, or is that?
No, it's a voice actor. Someone I found on
Yeah.
Twitter. He's a good one. Like, he's amazing.
That's
He
cool,
used
man.
him
I
in
love
he
that.
used him in a third volume, and people really like it. And so I bring him back for the fourth volume too.
That's cool. That's
Okay.
really cool. Yeah, man. I love that idea of selling virtual experiences that end up being memories, or fantasy experiences that could potentially end up being memories. Like
Yeah.
what was the inspiration behind that? It sounds like Total Recall. It sounds like,
Man, yeah,
yeah,
that's a
which
hard
is cool.
question, but I think it comes from a lot of plays like Total Recall, and there are some moments in Cyberpunk game as well that they have like a, virtual reality stuff just for fun, and I feel like, hey, that it would be nice to tell this kind of story since it's a cyberpunk genre. Each book, I want to do different stuff in each book, like different theme. Like the first one is more like a world building, explaining Okane, and the second one is more like an action, like how the fighting stuff work, and the third one is like a cult stuff and like a fetch quest, and this one is like a journey to the past where we explored about the characters, stuff like that, something like that.
Yeah, that's the other thing that I think is really cool about what you do, is that you're not approaching it from you're approaching it from the perspective of giving somebody a complete story when they buy the book. And I've noticed that with like a lot of independent stuff, that's not always the case. Somebody will come up with like a floppy, especially a lot of the American stuff. It might just be like a short 20-page book or something like that, but that barely gives you a chance to really get into anything.
Yeah. Hey, thanks. Yeah, that's what it feels like, because I don't know. I want to tell the full story, so I
Hmm.
think 70 pages is a way to go.
Hmm.
Way to go.
Yeah, I mean it looks really cool, man.
No problem.
So
And
what is your so you have a team of artists that you put together. So you originally did the animation, and the animation didn't it didn't sit well with you, and so you decided to do something that was more, you could have more control over it. Is that kind of the thing too? Is like it was simpler, but then it was also kind of like, okay, I can just hone in on the story, hone in on the world building, and then I can just have like kind of a small team, and we can just
Ye-
focus on getting a good product out.
yeah, exactly. I feel like when it comes to graphic novel, I like Batman Hutch and some other stuff, and I feel like world building can only be done like in a completed version when it comes to like graphic novel, and no maybe
Mhm.
novel too, but that's picture, you know. And I think there's more control, and I can go to like full blown like R-rated stuff rather than soften it out for the animation, you know.
Yeah.
And the book looked nice, man. The book looked nice. I mean, I just want something on my shelf.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, when you did the animation, it was just basically a digital file that you sent out to people, or did you get it pressed onto DVDs or something and
Oh
send it to
no,
people?
just YouTube. I put it on YouTube, and I sent a few rewards like behind the scene books, postcards, and stuff like that when it comes to reward. But for animation, you can watch it on YouTube. Like it is out there for
Mhm.
free, you know.
Do you so whenever you're approaching putting together your book, what kind of inspirations are you drawing from? I know you're saying like Japanese folklore and things like that, but like what were the stories that inspired you that made you want to do this in the first place?
I
Or
see.
like Akira, things
I
like
would say
that?
Blade Runner. Yeah, Akira is
Yeah.
obvious because the red jacket. I would say Blade Runner and Ghost in the Shell, the
Yeah.
animated one. I really like Ghost in the Shell though. Like, and there's a scene where the character is interrogated, and he found out that he he he, he told the police that his wife is waiting for him at home, and it turns out that he has no wife. It's just a fake memory that put it in him, so he can being manipulated to work for like a villains. And the guy cries, and I feel like that's what cyberpunk is. The that's how you make cyberpunk, and
That's what
that's
that's
one.
what cyber that's what cyberpunk is to you.
Yeah, right. The heavy stuff that I don't know how to explain it, but you know what I mean, right?
Yeah, it's really interesting because you mentioned Blade Runner, and I'm currently adapting the Philip K. Dick books,
Yeah.
which Blade Runner is based off of. And yeah, I mean, like it's very much in line with this idea of like simulation theory, or just the idea that somebody can implant an idea in your head in some way and then manipulate you, and you're just kind of living in this false reality that somebody else has generated. I remember seeing Ghost in the Shell as well. That's one of my favorite movies. The original one, Innocence, is really good. The TV shows and stuff like that were really good too. But I know
Mm-hmm.
what you mean, like that sense of the character. He's been manipulated in some way by like this technology. I think that's a really interesting idea. Yeah.
Yeah.
It calls into question, like, what is reality? I think in a lot of ways, it's not as dramatic as what Ghost in the Shell shows, but I think there's things like that go on now. That's kind of what Philip talks about in his books. Is he says that basically you have today we have massive corporations and media conglomerates that basically shape our reality just by constantly
Mm.
repeating things over and over and over again. And if you do that enough times, then it does begin to affect people's way of looking at things.
Mm-mm.
You know?
Yeah, like playing with people insecurities, like commercial and stuff like that. Like you have to have like
Hmm.
this car, you have to look like this certain way and stuff like that.
Yep. Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly. Like yeah, if you can manipulate somebody and make them feel insecure about themselves. So much of it, I feel like, is based on just fear. It's just
Mm-hmm.
make people scared, and then if
Mm-hmm.
they're scared, then they'll consume. They'll
Okay.
just buy whatever it is that you want them to buy.
Yeah.
And I,
Y-
I think that's
You
what's
say Blade
interesting
Runner
about
is your favorite one, right? The graphic novel, the cyberpunk
uh,
genre.
as far as the book, or you mean like the adaptation?
Everything, like in general.
Not really. I actually am not as big of a fan of Blade Runner as I am of, like, I think Minority Report is
Oh, okay,
uh, is
yeah.
is probably the best adaptation,
Yeah,
or Scanner Darkly. I don't know if you've
interesting.
seen a Scanner Darkly.
I've seen when I was a kid, and it's not completely sci-fi. I think it's the setting is still like in the real world, right? But there is some like hidden stuff going on.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah. Well, the Minority Report, I guess, is it's not really cyberpunk, but it is sci-fi. Minority Report is interesting because it's kind of playing off that same idea, right? Like you have these beings called the precogs, and they have the ability to see into the future,
Mm-hmm.
and the government has basically taken them and using it as an information resource, right?
Okay.
And so they're able to build this whole thing of pre-crime, where it is that they're able to predict a crime before it's going to happen, and then they arrest the person before the crime happens.
Mm-hmm.
And so it goes into all of these different things about free will and determinism, and how much control the government should have
Yeah.
over things like that. Yeah.
I think it's play with like high tech, low life too that we talk about, like how like
Mhm.
the technology and the system is more advanced, but people are more oppressed because of the system. And what else? You were saying something about. Uh, you were saying something. I'm sorry, I forgot.
Mhm. It's okay. I probably forgot to.
Yeah, man. I was gonna
Well, I
say
mean,
something.
I guess the thing it is that draws me to these stories in general is that they're very modern. They're very modern stories. I mean, like, even if you look at the beginning of Blade Runner, if you look at the first 5 minutes of Blade Runner,
Okay.
it is really like a master in storytelling, visual storytelling, because there's so many different things that are communicated immediately to the viewer that are completely relevant to everybody's life today, right? So, like, you have you have the shots of the city, and the cities are just like this sprawl that just doesn't ever end, right? It's basically
Mm-hmm.
Bangkok, right? Like, there's no
Okay.
trees, there's nothing.
Mm-hmm.
um, and then we find our main character, who's Deckard, and what is he doing? He's flipping through the newspaper looking for a job, and he's basically like on the bottom rung of society, and he has to make some sort of a choice whenever the detectives show up, and they're trying to get him to come back to the police station, that he has to essentially make a choice of whether he's going to continue to sell his soul to something that he doesn't believe in order to make money, or if he's actually going to strike out on his own. I think Deckard's story it's really sad because, like, he doesn't there's no spiritual fulfillment in anything it is that he does. Everything is just empty and hollow to him. And by the end of it, I mean, it's kind of cliche to say it, but like the Roy Batty, he has more of a conscience than Deckard does. Deckard has he uses alcohol to basically like subdue his feelings.
Who is Roy again? The guy with the white hair, right?
Yeah. Hmm. Hmm.
Okay, okay, okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So he's the replicant that was
Oh
escaping,
yeah, yeah.
right?
That's the one. Hey, going back
Hmm.
to I remember now what I was gonna say. So I think you said something about free will and stuff, and I feel like a lot of cyberpunk genre tend to touch on that. Like about free wills, like is free will exist? Since like
Hmm.
memory transfer exists and like cloning and stuff exists,
Hmm.
I feel like that's an interesting thing about cyberpunk too. Do you
Hmm.
feel?
Do you try to put some of these other themes into your work, or do you feel like uh, do you try to approach it with putting a particular theme into it, or do you just let the story just kind of come about naturally, organically, and then like afterwards you look at it and you go like, oh, okay, these themes kind of align with things that are kind of in the same realm.
Yeah. I don't know. For me, when it comes to storytelling, I kind of like the idea of character relationship
Hmm.
rather than theme. I like theme too, and each book has different theme. But I like characters more. Like those love stories in the middle of like big things going on, and that's what I'm trying to do with the story too.
Hmm.
When it comes to free
Yeah.
will, maybe next book. I don't know, free will. I haven't touched on it yet. I feel like it's gonna be forced if I try to push it in the middle of like what's going on right now in the story.
Hmm. Yeah,
What
I
do you
think
think?
that seems like what's the most natural, right? Like anytime somebody tries to overtly put a message in, then like you said, it ends up feeling forced, as
Mm-hmm.
opposed to, you tell a story just because it's something that's fun and interesting to tell.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes when you approach it that way, you look back and you go like, oh man, like there's so many different ideas in the book that you didn't even realize that you put into it,
That's
you
true.
know?
That's true. I
Yeah.
feel like if,
So,
if you're being too ambitious, then you're gonna have a lot of ideas, and then there's gonna be no story. There's gonna be a lot of events going on.
yeah. Yeah, that's kind of a balance between the two. So did you educate yourself in terms of like story structure and that sort of thing
Oh
as you
yes,
were writing these
absolutely,
books?
absolutely. I've read a few books back then in the past because I've been trying to do screenplay since when I was 14. So I've been working on writing for a really long time. And one of the book that I really like is called Anatomy of Story. It's more like have you heard?
Yeah, man. That I have, okay, so in my Blade Runner and my Minority Report videos that are on my YouTube channel,
Okay.
uh, I if you watch the analysis, I basically say like I'm going to look at the film, but then I'm going to compare it with the notes from Anatomy of Story.
Come on, you like that
Yeah,
one, right? I know
it's
it's
great.
the best. It's the best. It's
Yeah,
it's fun to read too, surprisingly, because there's one book called Story by Robert McKee, and
yeah,
it's very valuable, but it's it's really boring. Boring, man.
yeah,
Have you tried? I know it's a pain
yeah.
in the ass.
I know what you're talking about. I've seen
I
some
know.
of Robert McKee's talks, and I just kind of go like, I just can't. I can't get
I
into
know.
it. But you're right. He's really John Truby is really good at explaining it and then
True. That's true.
making it interesting.
That's true. And I feel like he touched on a lot of things that the movies that I like touch on, like Inception or like any Christopher Nolan movie. Kind of,
Hmm.
I feel like he read Anatomy of Story. It's not like Save the
Hmm.
Cat or Hero's Journey where it's more like Marvel stuff. This one is more like Polish, more has more depth in my opinion.
Oh,
So
definitely.
yeah, so I read that kind of book, and I kind of put those into my story too, like how to make theme, how to make character flaws, and how to work on the character flaws into like to move the story rather than just to have it, that kind of things.
Yeah. So the parts that he talks about with like character and in the book Anatomy of Story is really interesting because he basically, uh, from what it is that I remember, he basically says like you draw like a quadrant, and you can basically
Oh
put
yeah,
different characters into different spots, right?
exactly.
And then
Exactly.
from there, that will help you figure out like what character is what. So
That's
did
true.
I? I know there's you could read that and you could do that in a very mechanical way,
Hmm.
but like how did that impact your writing? Do you think about that in terms of like opposites, like this character has this kind of like personality quality, and then you try to balance it out with something that's opposite of that?
not completely, but I feel like it helps me with the theme, the overall theme of the story, because the when it comes to those like four stuff, it reflects on the theme of the world building and the theme of the character as well. But I don't try to force it in, because in the end I want to tell the story that I care about the characters, and it's not like a completely mechanical stuff. It's
Hmm.
not like it's not there to serve the theme, but it's there to tell their own story. That's what I feel like. But from time to time I would put it in, like, if it feels like it fits in a theme,
Hmm.
but I don't try to force it. Like, it comes naturally. That's what
Yeah.
I feel like.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
that's the biggest thing that I feel like I've learned about just making art in general is you can't whatever it is, you really can't force it. It's like that whenever you're learning the craft, it's important to understand the theory, I guess you could say,
That's
or
true.
the structure,
That's
but then
true.
you have to kind of let it go and
That's true.
and create from a genuine place. Otherwise, it just comes out either it
Forced.
comes out cliche or something,
Yeah, that's true. But I think it's still better to know about these things,
Hmm.
because um, me and my team is also working on another book, and it's a spin-off of Ronin of Okane, and he's the one who do the story this time, and I'm the one who give him feedbacks. And the thing that I learned from the book really helped with giving feedback stuff, because some people they haven't tried writing before, right? And they don't have the basics and some trick and techniques, and it kind of helped a bit.
Hmm. Yeah, 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 definitely. So this is like the Cyber Sheep Studios. This is it's a collection of artists from Thailand, U.S., France, and Japan. So y'all guys have done the animation, and then you're now on your fourth book. And you said you're working on another one. So you have multiple projects going on all at the same time, like,
Yeah,
right? Like you have multiple things going on.
yeah. Right now I'm working on like 4 books. So
Really?
yeah, right now. So basically, there's one, which is this one, right, on Kickstarter, and there's gonna be the fifth volume that I already finished the story, and there's gonna be another one. It's a spin-off that is more like a Witcher style story where the character is hunting a yokai, but it's still in the setting in the same universe. And another one that is gonna release next year is gonna be an encyclopedia book where I put characters in a book together and make it in like a Japanese drawing art style with the text and like a brown paper, stuff like that. So 4 books
Okay.
right now.
Damn, dude. Okay. So you got that's cool, man. So do you you're not only a writer, but you're also an artist. But
No,
do
I'm
you
just the writer. Most of the art, I give all the credits to my team. I'm doing like a panel design, but it's a really rough sketches that they have to like
but, but
bring
you
it
can
out.
draw. You can
I
draw
can
though.
draw. I can draw. You've seen it,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
Which one?
I've seen. I saw some stuff you posted on Instagram recently.
Oh,
You
okay.
posted a
The
sketch
last
or
drawing.
something. Yeah, yeah. I
It's a
saw it. I
good
was
one,
like,
right?
oh damn. Like, yeah.
Oh, thanks,
So
man.
do you?
I'm a bit
So
self-conscious, so
you?
that's good.
So do you enjoy doing more of the writer role and hiring other people to do it, or would you want to draw your own books, or do you like kind of the top down, like you write it and then you can basically like delegate all the different jobs to other people? Is that something that you were you surprised that you enjoy it? Because from my perspective, I think like I'm the creator. I want to do everything.
I see. Yeah, I know what you mean. Well,
Yeah.
I consider myself a writer and a director. I, I never. I don't think I can draw as good as my team, if I'm being honest. Like, the team has done an amazing job. Like, the guy who do the character is like amazing. Like, the
Hmm.
pose is dynamic, and the guy who do background just do the background the best he can do, and the
Hmm.
color too. And I don't know. I As much as I like drawing, I never get good at it. Like, I've been drawing since I was a kid, but I just don't learn to get good. I just I just do it for fun. Like I do faces, and you get to learn to do like the correct
Mhm.
anatomy. So it just
Mhm.
stop at being a hobby. But for writing is different. I feel like I put a lot of my emotion, a lot of my experience, and a lot of my like fantasies in.
Mhm.
I feel like writing kind of resonate better with me, but not drawing, not drawing.
But you do, so you like the writing aspect of it, um, but because of the influences it is that you have, writing like a novel doesn't really appeal to you. So the original things that appealed to you was doing things like screenwriting, right?
Yeah, screenwriting. Right there.
Yeah. So you always wanted to do film, but then when you had your experience with your first one, you were like, okay, maybe, were you thinking like with Ronin, are you thinking like, okay, I build this IP, and then if I have the momentum behind it, then you can basically take that to an animation studio and then let them deal with the delegation. Is that kind of the
I
idea?
think that's not the plan, but if it's happening, then it's great because a lot of people ask me like, is it gonna be an animation? Is it gonna be an anime? And I keep telling them like, I don't want to touch on animation anymore. So if someone wanna do it, that's great. Like I'll let them do it, and I'll just
Hmm.
looking at it from far away and just giving feedbacks, and I'm not gonna freaking touch it at all. I gotta
Yeah.
find someone who are actually good at it. I'm sorry, man. I
Yeah.
know artists tend to be like, uh, what do you mean? Like they want to hold on onto their work, right? Like they want it to be perfect. They don't want anyone to
Yeah.
touch it unless they really make a good job at depicting the art. But I'm sorry, I'm not gonna touch it. This one,
Because it's just too much work, huh?
too
Yeah.
much, too much, too much for me. I mean, I enjoy doing this comic book like a lot. Like some people ask me like, what's my next plan, and I feel like this is my end goal. Like this is the perfect thing that I'm doing. Like telling the story that I want to tell, and people get to read it, and the result just came out the way that I want. It's my story with no censor, and this is my end goal here right now. Maybe I'll have a different dream later, but this one is what I've been wanting to do.
Yeah. Yeah. It seems like the perfect medium now for people that want to do their own thing.
Yeah, that's true.
Like
That's true.
it's not something that is going to make you never want to work in film again. Making a film. you know uh, and it's a small team, and you get to focus, and you get to be like the director of everything, which is really cool.
Hey,
Which is
thanks.
really
Thanks.
that's really.
Thanks.
Yeah, man. I don't think that you realize how much of an impact it is that you've probably had on people, because
Thanks. Thanks.
I think you've done a number of different things with with your success. I think you're showing a really good example of of following your dream, for one
Thanks,
thing,
man.
for sure. But also being like just super practical about it. I know you have like, so what's up with these trading cards? So you have like multiple things that are going with it. So you have posters, you have the book, which is in a slipcase, which is similar to the third book you gave me, is this one right here, and this is your slipcase for it. This is super slick, man. Like
Thanks, man.
this
Thanks.
is so cool. Um, Yeah, I think I actually featured your book in like one of my inspiration videos, but
Thanks a lot.
you have so many different things. So you have a tier where it's $40, and they get
Mm-hmm.
all of what it is we're looking here. They
Mm-hmm.
get they get a slipcover, poster, PDF book. Is
The
that the case?
PDF book as well. So in case someone want to have like the physical thing, but they
Hmm.
don't want to buy like all full physical book, They can still have like the fourth book and still understand the story of the first three. That's the goal. And the trading card is more like a collectible stuff, because I haven't had a rule for the card yet. It's just a number and a name, man. So it's just for collectible, and it looked nice. Hey, I brought it. Okay.
Yeah, they look cool. Oh man, they look so cool.
I know, right?
Are you? What is? We got to talk afterwards about like what printers it is that you're using,
Sure
because
thing.
I want to do something.
It's the
I
one
want to do
that I
something.
sent to you. The same one. Same one.
Oh, okay, really?
In Thailand. Yeah, they did everything for me, basically.
Okay, yeah. They proofed my book, and it was really well done. Yeah. And then you have some of the other stuff. You have this line art edition. What is the line art edition for your book?
So the line art book is gonna be just the line, no colors. I want to show like the raw line art of my artist. I feel like they did a great job, and I want to show that. And the book is gonna be signed too. And the first page of the book is gonna be like have like a quick sketch, like a random sketch. Like, so each book is gonna be different, so people are gonna get like random sketches of each character. And this one is gonna be like a hand drawn page. So my artist is gonna draw like a character and send it over from Thailand.
That's cool. That's really cool. And then this one is
like another pain in the ass. It took a lot of time to model it, and took a lot of time to test print until it's coming out right. It's gonna be colored too.
Really? It's gonna be colored?
Yeah, it's gonna be, this time it's gonna be colored.
So wow. So what was the pain in the ass about it? Is like I know that you called. Yeah, it looks insane. Like, I don't know how you would. How was this made? Was this 3D printed? There's no way this was 3D printed.
It's made in Blender. The model is made in Blender, right? But later on, it's 3D print. After 3D print, it's gonna be mold into like shape.
Yeah.
And it's gonna be colored. So a lot of steps for a lot of pieces.
I almost think it would be cool to. I mean, I don't know if you considered anything like this, but did you consider like leaving it not colored and then letting people color it themselves? Kind of like.
So you can buy either the colored version or the no colored version. The price is gonna be different. The no color version is gonna be more expensive. No, I'm kidding. It's gonna be cheaper. It's gonna be cheaper. People are gonna be mad if it's the other way around.
Like, what?
Okay, this one is gonna be like a producer pledge. So if you buy this, you're gonna get everything, including the cameo. My artist is gonna draw your face into one of the character and put it in the book, and you're gonna get a credit too.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Have you had people take this spot? Have you had people take the producer spot?
All the time, but not this one. I'm still waiting for this one, but the first 3 book, they take the spot.
Nice.
This is stretch goal, so when I reach the amount that I want, I open a stretch goal where I give like extra stuff for everyone. So it's gonna be like the envelope, the bigger model, and like a hologram, graphic effects, and signature stuff like that.
Okay, so everything has been unlocked for this book.
Yeah,
is that something that you, because you put so much thought into the structure of all this? Do you find that these sort of things, like having these stretch goals and things like that, they help as far as getting more people interested in your product as opposed to just the book? Because I mean, the story is the meat of it, right? Like, when I think about kickstarting my own book, I'm considering like, well, what is it that I actually want to provide as an add-on that is actually a value? And when I look at yours, I see that you've put a lot of thought into making sure that they're not, that they're actually things that people would be interested in. Do you think that puts you into like a different bracket than just doing a book? Like, do you think that brings in another group of people that want to support your work?
I see. That's interesting. Maybe because some people actually ask for a stretch goal when they see the number goes up. They ask, "Hey, what's the next stretch goal? Or what is the stretch goal is gonna be this time?" But I feel like if you make like a good product since the start, like for instance, you explain that, hey, the book is gonna be like textures. There's gonna be a texture. There's gonna be a goal for it, and everything else. I feel like that is more appealing than you're selling a nothingness and then you add it on later when the stretch goal is hit. That's just my opinion though, because there's a lot of people who do stretch goal, like a lot of stretch goal, like 12 stretch goal. So I try to not go into too much with stretch goal because it would leave me nothing when it comes to like the first presented product. I want the first one to be like perfect. Like there's gonna be gold stamp. There's gonna be like a effects and texture and stuff and everything. Like I want to present the best version, and if I have some other ideas that I feel like, hey, we can add on, then I put it in stretch goal. That's my plan anyway. It's just a minor thing to give an extra appealingness, but not the thing that is strip off and add on later.
So what have you learned from your previous Kickstarters that allowed you to hit 50K? Because I think you guys pretty much were funded like within the first week, right? Like, I mean, obviously you
First hour.
said it within the first hour. Okay.
Yeah.
So your pledge goal is 2,500, and then you've made 54,000. So I assume that's a part of your strategy is that you already know that you're going to hit your pledge goal, and so you keep it low in order to basically get into the algorithm. Is that kind of the idea?
That's the idea, and the first day is very important too, because if you got funded and got a lot of backers on the first day, then the algorithm is gonna bring you to like more people in a Kickstarter website. So I would say if anyone who wanna do Kickstarter, focus on like a pre-launch campaign. That's the way you gather your followers before you launch the project. If you work, I feel like ads and like promotional material doesn't work well during the campaign. I don't know why, but it works better pre-launch.
Yeah, that's interesting. Maybe because when somebody clicks on an ad, it could possibly be because when people click on an ad, maybe they're not expecting to buy something right away, but they're okay with signing up for some sort of a newsletter and being
That's true.
in
That's true.
maybe something along those lines.
I think
right?
so. I think so. And another part would be uh, if you put people on pre-launch, I feel like you have a lot of time to promote the project before it starts. Like you get to post on Kickstart, post on social media or post on like newsletter and stuff until they actually understand the product before you actually launch. But if you do it during the launch, then people are gonna be more hesitant. It's gonna take more time for them to finally buy it. I feel like.
Yeah, that makes sense. It's like I've heard that you want people to have as many like touch points with the product, right, as you possibly can, because they start to build just from the familiarity. They start to build some trust.
Exactly. I think
Right?
I think it's the familiarity.
Do you so you what you focus on is you have a pre-launch, and then you basically try to build up some interest through the pre-launch, through the stuff it is that you show, getting people to sign up for a newsletter, and then you go ahead and launch. Like, what do you? I think when we talked before that you said something like 500 people or so is what you want on your newsletter before you actually launch your book. right?
Something like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
Okay. Okay.
Something like that.
Yeah.
I'm trying to get the number to increase like every project,
Hmm.
just to make sure that the business is doing well every time I make a new one. I would say
Yeah.
if 500 is reasonable. I feel like for the beginners when it comes to like email list. I think you can get around like at least 100 or 200 backers by the end of the campaign if you have that amount. I think so.
Okay. Cool,
Like
man.
that.
Yeah. So I feel like we've touched on quite a few things here, and yeah, like I said, your stuff looks cool, man. It's super inspiring
Thanks a lot.
to see you do so well. This is interesting to me. You have some reviews here. I used to read Games Radar all the time, so that's cool. That's cool
Back
that
then,
you.
when we do animation, they invite us to like what is it, game event? There's one game event.
Uh-huh.
It's below the Game Award one, but it's quite a big one. I'll send it to you later. But they invite
Okay.
us there to show the trailer and stuff.
That's cool, man. That's cool. All right. Well, so anybody who's interested, you can check out Cyber Sheep Studios. I'm going to include the links to the Kickstarter, and I'll go ahead and I'll throw this up tomorrow since you only have about a week left in your Kickstarter. But anybody who's interested in getting the books, I've got the links in the description box. And Michael, I appreciate you coming on here and hanging out with me and chatting. I'm glad we got a chance to catch up.
Yeah, you
It was
too.
fun.
Like it's been a long while, like maybe almost a year already. Like
Yeah, no,
you,
I
you
know.
got a new hat or something? No?
Yeah,
Okay, cool.
always.
That's different. I'm gonna get a hat soon. I guess I don't know. I don't know.
add some to the Kickstarter. That would be cool.
Yeah.
Get some
Hey,
Ronin
sell
hats.
your art too. In the back. Yeah, you got your
Yeah.
opportunity now.
Cool, man. So I'm gonna go ahead and close it out here, and then we'll chat for a few minutes afterwards. But
Sure.
thanks, guys, for watching, and thank you for coming on and hanging out with me, man.
Yeah. Okay.
Cool. All right, guys. Take care.